And our last question, what are some common defenses against DWI charges?
Well, most common defenses on DWI charges are the police have to prove that they stopped you for a reason. Okay, they just can't stop you because you're driving. They have to prove why they stopped you. And it could be real easy. The brake light doesn't work. Directional light doesn't work. One of your headlights are out. Okay? You were exceeding the speed limit. You didn't turn on your turn signal to change lanes. They stop people all the time with that. Your license plate is covered or has a frame around it. In New York State, you're not allowed to have a frame that's obscuring the license plate. So all these things give police an opportunity to stop you. So that is the most common defense. You got to go right to the root of the cause. Why did you stop the person? Now, most of the time it's because they're weaving in and out of traffic, or they pass stop signs or red lights, or the fact is that they're driving erratically, or they're driving too slow, or they're driving too close to the curb, and things of this nature. So that gives probable cause for the police to stop you. Once they stop you, again, because alcohol has a distinct odor to it, all right, as well as marijuana or drugs can have a distinct odor, then once they stop you and once they roll down, they open the door and they smell what's going on, then at that point, they're going to proceed to do a couple of things. One, it could be a breathalyzer test. They can make you do your gymnastics, touch your nose with your hands, with your fingers back and forth, walk a straight line, heel to toe, things of this nature. But most of the time, it will be the breathalyzer. Now, you refuse to take the breathalyzer, they're going to take you to the precinct. And they're going to give you an opportunity to change your mind. Okay, you still refuse to change your mind, then at that point they're going to charge you with refusing to take a breathalyzer. But they're also going to ask you to do your gymnastics to prove that, you are unable to do the simple task because you're so inebriated, you're so drunk that you can't walk a straight line or even touch your nose. And they film it, by the way. Okay. I've had a case where a woman, she claimed she had a broken tail light, and they stopped her, and she had one drink. And they attempted to give her a breathalyzer test, but the officer wasn't well skilled. And this also goes to the defense that the breathalyzer test was inappropriate, was improper in terms of they didn't do it correctly. Because it has to be done correctly. The breathalyzer tests have come a long way from when it first was done. Now they're very high degree of veracity to it, technology, proves like DNA. But it still has to be given. And many times an individual officer doesn't have the training or messes up. So in this particular case, what happened was, so they stopped her because a brake light was broken. She had a drink. She admitted, I had a drink. So they take her out to give her a breathalyzer, and the officer messes up. He drops the ampule. He drops everything. Okay? So now, instead of having the sergeant discipline him for failing to take the test properly, which they will, okay? So he takes her back to the police station, and he makes her sit there for like 3 to 4 hours. Then he comes back and he goes, listen, I'm going to ask you to take a breathalyzer test. And this is what he tells her exactly. And you're going to refuse because it's too long, which is true. You have a time frame to be able to take the breathalyzer test because to make it appear that it's correct. And anything over 2 hours is suspect because the body metabolizes alcohol. In varying ways, with if you have food, your body weight, your body fat, there's a whole formula. But generally, it's got to be done to be kosher at least 2 hours, within 2 hours of the stop. So this officer did it 4 hours or 5 hours later. He came to see her and told her, listen, this is what you're going to do. You're going to say you refuse. And since it's such a long time, you're not going to, they're not going to be able to prove that you refuse to take a breathalyzer test. So that's what she did. She listened to the cop. Of course, he lied. He didn't lie because he's a cop. He lied because that's a human condition. People always want to protect themselves, okay? And that way, he messed up on the breathalyzer test so that he could point to the fact he charged and refused to take a breathalyzer. But she did gymnastics on the video, and she really did it well, okay? And in fact, we did a trial. We went to a trial. They offered her a violation, and we said no, she didn't do anything wrong. Okay, she would have been suspended 90 days. Meanwhile, until the trial, her license was suspended. Okay, but she didn't mind. I'm not pleading guilty to anything. So we went to trial, and the judge looked at the tape, and the tape didn't show her eyes. Another thing, what I call the Saint Bernard look, because Saint Bernard has bloodshot eyes. Okay, so one of the fine things they always say, all the cops say, well, her eyes were bloodshot and she smelled of alcohol, you know. So I call that, well, then obviously a Saint Bernard has bloodshot eyes, so it must be drunk all the time, you know. So the idea is that that's one of the key things of drinking. So the judge says, you didn't even have the camera on her eyes. I don't even know if her eyes were bloodshot after all this time. And she did fine on the exercises, the physical exercises. And she told her story exactly the way it was. And the judge found that she was not driving DWI and dismissed the case. Did charge her for driving with a broken light $150. So that was the upshot. But it took over a year and change to get that done. And most of the time, people can't wait. They don't want to wait because they want to get it over with.
Right.
You know, and that's it. So again, DWI is a serious issue, and it doesn't have to be. I mean, especially today, you can call a car to take you home. You know, but once you get inebriated, you don't think straight. You know, so you think you can do anything. You know.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Well. Folks, that was News and Views, episode 1 with Bruce Pravda, senior attorney at Shagrova Law Firm. Thank you for watching this. We hope you learned a lot. Be safe. Be well.
Take care.